It is Tuesday, June 11th, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today presented to you by our friends over at Factor. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, and intern Tommy along for the ride as well. First of all, big time tip of the cap to our good friend, whom we will see next week up at the warehouse, none other than Nicky Cass. Somehow the Yankees got a hold of him to do this outstanding collaboration.
My name is Coach Al. I'm a world-renowned Little League coach. I'm a Baseball Hall of Fame inductee, and I've been a special advisor for the New York Yankees since '92. Let's go, Anthony. Good, come through it. Nice, see, that's why he's our shortstop, okay? He's not one, two, no, he's here, boom, and then he comes through the ball. Very good job. What I need you to do, bring the hips through the ball, okay? Because your bat is coming out like this. Get in the ball. Next time you get up to the plate, right here, I want you, boom, right here, boom, that's it.
Who's this guy?
Soto, listen, I know you like to do this, okay? Next time you do it, give me some credit, okay? Because you know I taught you that. Validate my life's work and send the Yankees to Texas for the All-Star game. It will mean the world to me and all the guys in there. Capiche? Oh, good boys. I'm gonna start crying.
Oh my God.
You all right?
I was actually at Yankee Stadium the day he was filming this. So first of all, it's a great video, but what I really love is, I mean, I got to see Nicky and he couldn't believe he was doing it either. And it was just really cool to see him. He works really hard. We know him, he is grinding, putting out content. He's got so much talent. He's so funny. But you could tell it just meant so much to him to be on that field doing it with those guys. And, to see the final product, I wasn't sure what I was going to get, but it exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good. I think even for those of us that aren't, I mean, there are people that we know him great. All right. He's a good friend of ours. People that don't know him and just kind of know him from his little shtick that he does, I think they realize that he's kind of leveling up. So we're going to say, knew you win. Not that
we are. I tell him all the time, hey, don't forget us, man.
Yeah, exactly. You better answer our calls. So we'll see if he talks to us next week or if we have to go through a PR director just to ask him questions like, how you doing? How's your family? We'll see. It was pretty awesome. Go check out the full 4.5-minute feature film on social media if you haven't already. All right, let's get this going. There's a reason I'm wearing a Padres hat is because they were a big winner over the Oakland A's last night, thanks in part to the ever-charging Fernando Tatis. Third homer in his last 4 games to continue his 16-game hitting streak now. Can we finally say that Tatis is all the way back?
I think so. I mean, the way he's been going lately, and of course you have him in the homer draft, which is awesome. But, I mean, if you look at his Savant page, everything is blood red. I mean, 97 expected WOBA, 96 in expected batting average, 96 in expected slug. I mean, this is the guy that we're talking about. And it's not just the bat. He's doing it with the glove too. You know about the arm, and the range is still there. The sprint speed is still there. Like everything that this guy – we've come to know him and kind of love him for. He's back doing it, and that was the one thing we asked. We said, okay, you have this setback, and you come back, the numbers aren't looking the same. If you become the same player you were, that's how you get people kind of off your case and to forget about everything that happened. And he's doing that right now. So I mean, he's one of the most electric guys on the field. You can't take your eyes off him when he's running like this, Chris. So. I guess. I mean, I don't know if he's all the way back. I'm going to give him 92% back.
Yeah, I would say high 80s, low 90s, because he's not all the way there. He is hitting over 400 during the 16-game hitting streak. But when you think of peak Fernando Tatis Jr., thinking a guy who was hitting, mid-9s in the OPS, which is elite stuff, like top 5 in the league sort of thing. He's right now right around 830, which is still very good. But he's still getting back to where he was. I don't feel the same when I watch him quite yet. He is inching closer, though.
I mean, 2 more weeks of this, and I feel like
it's possible.
He will. Yeah, if he continues to do this throughout the season and leads the Padres into the playoffs, I mean, that's what we're looking for, right?
Yeah. At what point do you think it'll be that the first thing that comes to mind with Fernando Tatis Jr. isn't the suspension, the motorcycle issues, and it's just baseball. When's that?
For me?
Yeah.
Or for the general population?
Maybe both, if it's different.
For me, he has to, I said, finish the year out strong and have those and look like he's looked the past couple of weeks. I mean, that has to be like, that can't be a 2-4 week stretch. That has to be like who you are as a player. Then I'm like, okay, like this is who he was. And maybe, the stuff he talked about was true. Maybe it was for ringworm or whatever. For the Gen Pop, I feel like they've already forgotten, man. I really do. Especially the kids. They're not interested in that, or they don't pay attention to it. They just want to see the guy on the field. And I think that's okay.
On top of that, I actually think he's pretty likable still. Even with everything that has transpired, because I don't love it. I mean, I really don't. I wish it hadn't happened.
Sure.
But I will say there's certain guys who have paid their penance, who have served a suspension, and you'll always look at them and you'll be like, ugh, really? Like, not again. Like, they open their mouths and you're like, ugh, I've heard enough. And then there's some guys who I think have served a suspension, and you're like, okay. So they've served their penalty and we've all moved on. I don't know. That's kind of the way I feel with him.
I wonder what it is. I don't know. Like, because when he first came back, I think he had some cringy moments, and we talked about those ones. He was dancing to the outfield and stuff like that. But he is a young kid. Cameras in front of his face all the time. So you're going to get caught doing some silly stuff. Like, we're going to talk about me a little bit later, caught doing some silly stuff, but
not the same.
Not the same. I don't know. You just have to go out there and do it on the field. That's kind of like always my thought process with guys that, get popped. It's like, okay, I don't like that. You're cheated. You cheated. Okay. Your story is your story. You got caught. You have to serve your suspension. You cheated. Once you serve your suspension and you go back out and do it on the field and you look like the same player and your numbers are the same or around the same, that's when I start to say, okay, I'm done.
Yeah. And just for me, I put steroid or PED users in a different category than guys who do wrong off the field. Different category, if you know what I mean. So let's move on. Juan Soto returned last night in a DH role. He had a knock on the Yanks 4-2 win in Kansas City. In the meantime, the O's finish a 4-game sweep down there in St. Petersburg. New York leads Baltimore by 2.5 in the East. Those two will square off next week again. But now Baltimore kicks off a 6-game homestand today against the Braves, followed by 3 more against the Phillies. Will you learn more about the O's over the next 6 days or those 2 NL East squads?
I think we know who the O's are. I think, they're an all-around good team with a deep lineup. The pitching has – I always want to say they've overachieved, but maybe that's just who they are.
Mm-hmm.
I think the bullpen's like Kimbrel's done enough. I think they're still probably in the hunt for some bullpen. We know who they are. I think they're a well-rounded team. I think Philly is who Philly is. Like, we know who they are. They've actually been better than I think that a lot of people thought this year, especially in the starting pitching department. So I think really is going to tell me more about Atlanta. Like, I'm very curious to see, how they handle this set. I reached out to our guy Peter Moore and I said, man, what is Austin Riley hurt? Because if you look at his Savant page and you look at what he's been doing against fastballs this year, it's been like bad, like incredibly bad. And that's not who he is. He's a guy that usually hits fastballs. And he said it's a team-wide thing. He goes, and it's not even the elite fastballs. It's just like fastballs in general. He's like, we made the Nationals pitching staff look like aces last week. And it's not like they were just blowing 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. So I'm curious to see if they can make an adjustment, because like stuff like that, like when you have guys like Austin Riley, who like last year crushed fastballs, Matt Olson, whose numbers are like okay against fastballs, he's typically like a world beater against them. If you're having those kind of issues with the fastball, that means you can make adjustments. That means it's a coaching thing or like, a philosophy thing. They need to get back in the lab and figure something out to get back on time to those heaters. So I'm curious to see how they react and if those numbers are all of a sudden going to jump because they've been putting in the work. I think that's what they have to go focus on, because it's been that. We know about the injuries, but they've dealt with the injuries before. You got to get this offense on track, and apparently they just need to get on time with the heater.
In their last 24 games, they are 9-15, the Braves. They have scored 3 or fewer runs in 15 of those games. And you're right. Outside of Marcell Ozuna, this team just hasn't been right. So we keep saying, well, we're waiting. At what point do we just classify it as a bad season for a bunch of guys?
I can't do that yet, especially with this group of guys. You know what I mean?
So when
and collectively to all have a bad season at one time, that's insane. That just doesn't happen.
Well, it happens where guys have a bunch of great years at the same time, and it's abnormal for who they usually are. Like it's happened where guys collectively form together as one, and you're like, oh my God, they all had career years. So is it possible we're seeing career poor years for Olsen, Albies, Riley?
I mean, maybe. Are they tired because they've been playing so much extra baseball? Is that it? I don't think so, Chris. When teams have great years, it's because the superstars are who they are, and then you have a couple guys exceed expectations around them. That's when you have those special years. But everybody like kind of dealing with the same issue all at once, that screams to me like, hey, we need to change some philosophies with our hitting approach. And I don't know like how that went hayward. Like, I can speak from the Twins. Like there are times where I think their approach has been wrong and like they're working to correct it. So like you're going to go through these phases throughout a year. And if you are in something like this where you just aren't on time for the year, like you have to figure out a way, whether that's high velo machines with these little foam balls that they all have now. It has to be something. And I expect them to break out of it.
I'm curious.
I don't know about against the Orioles though, but eventually. And you know what's funny is hey, as bad as they've been, they're still 7-8 games over 500.
Yeah,
and there's only 10 teams above 500 in all of the league. So it's like they're still where they need to be. But yeah, it is a little shocking to see the Braves struggle like this offensively.
Yeah, and I think that they will end up making some moves. And I don't know if they'll be bit moves, kind of like we felt like they were a couple years ago. And collectively, Soler and Eddie Rosario and Jock Peterson came to become this monster in the outfield. But they're going to have to make some changes before the end of July. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. As for Baltimore, you said it, man. I know exactly what they are. They lead the league in homers. They're third in OPS. They're third in ERA. Second fewest homers allowed in baseball. They're awesome.
Hey, if there's one team that loves the Yankees, like being really good this year, it's the Baltimore Orioles. Like they're like just flying under the radar. Like, yeah, don't look at us. Yeah, we're not doing anything over here.
Hey, I want to introduce you to a new yet old friend of ours. Today's episode is brought to you by Kershaw Beef. Yes. Last name sound familiar? Yeah. Clayton Kershaw is bringing you Kershaw Beef. Quality beef directed to you. They got 6 different box options, like the All-Star box, the Big League box, which is a fan favorite. In fact, the Big League box is loaded chock full of 100% American beef, a variety of great options. Feed your family, your friends, or save it all for yourself. The boxes don't just have steaks. Kershaw Beef boxes also include Italian sausage, meatballs, sliders, hamburger patties, fajitas, stew meat, etc., etc. Kershaw Beef, it delivers fast, so you won't have to wait long to throw it right on the grill. And, of course, with Father's Day coming up, who doesn't love to barbecue, even if they're a proud pappy? The two of us love it. So snag your box today at KershawBeef.com. Use the code JOHNBOY. You're going to get 15% off your order. That's KershawBeef.com, promo code JOHNBOY. Kershaw Beef, no curveballs, just beef. I got to tell you, the other day it came right to our door. I was like, what the heck is this? How did Clayton Kershaw get my address? And then when I saw, they're a part of our John Boy Media family, I was like, yes!
I'm here too. I exist too. I would love some Kershaw Beef.
Well, my guess is because of the hoity-toity place in which you live, you have to get through 19 security guards and gate checks and background checks just to get close to your door. It hasn't quite made it. Go check the residence.
And maybe it's there. I've been on the road for so long. All I want is a home-cooked meal. Like, I cannot wait to get on my grill and cook myself some food, dude. I'm serious.
Awesome. All right. Chicago White Sox. Boy, oh boy, they were right there. They were on the brink of winning 3 of their last 5 games. They had a 4-0 lead in Seattle into the 8th inning. Then Seattle tied it in the 8th. And then in the 9th, this happened.
There's the pitch to Cal. There it is right there. He crushes it. And the Mariners are going home a winner. A 3-run jackpot and big dumper, Cal Raleigh. It's a 7-4 Mariners victory.
Felt bad for Dave Sims. He thought it was a 3-run homer, ended up being a walk-off grand slam and an 8-4 win, but one of the great dudes in this sport and broadcasting in history. It has happened to all of us. We've lost track. The point is, Big Dumper did hit a walk-off. They ended up winning. Before we get to the Sox side of this, I always feel like Cal Raleigh is right in the middle of something huge in Seattle, isn't he?
Well, this big old Dumper is always out there. You always see it, Chris. No, it's awesome. And he got rung up on a bad pitch, I believe, in the inning before.
Yes, he did.
And I think Service got thrown out of the game after that. But yeah, I mean, dude, he did exactly what he's supposed to. 2-0 fastball, bases loaded. You just got to put the barrel on the ball. He did a little bit more than that. And, it's really fun to see Seattle, the way they're playing. We're seeing a little bit of the offensive spark there. Crowds going nuts. So, I'm happy for them, but I know we're going to talk about the other side of this too.
By the way, with his nickname being the Big Dumper, and if you hit a walk-off, shouldn't he be forced to run backward and have a big beep go off in the stadium?
Yeah, I think he should play into that a little more. He should be doing like the Happy Gilmore, like smacking his butt as he's coming down the line or something like that, man. How about a little get on the plate and twerk it? I'd be up for that. Like, hey, we're trying to get viewers here. Come on.
I mean, Kike Hernandez should get traded up to Seattle so he could teach him how to do that. He's the best twerker, I think, in baseball.
Yeah, but I think Kike's got the moves and the rhythm, but I don't think he's got the culo. You know what I'm saying?
No, he does definitely not. And you're talking to two guys who do. So
I used to. Shoot, man, I lost my culo, man.
You used to. I could show you how to get it back.
I literally ran my ass off. I've never been able to get it back.
Don't lose hope, little buckaroo. All right, so for the White Sox, it's been like 25 games. I don't think that's the exact number, but it's definitely mid-20s where they've had a lead at some point and have gone on to lose the game this year. Dude, it's brutal. Like we thought maybe when they split with the Red Sox in that 4-game series and got rid of their losing streak, we're like, okay, this is it. You jump out to it. Fetty has pitched great this year.
Yeah.
He pitched into the 8th and dude, it's tough to watch.
Yeah, who pumped him? He had one solo homer, and then he's out of the game. And like, yeah, you're right. Kopech, with all the stuff that he possesses, I mean, he's got one of the better arms in all of the big leagues, and he just gets raked. Like, Fetty needs to get out of there. Kopech needs to get out of there. Crochet needs to get out of there. Corey Lee, their catcher, I really like this guy. And I think he's a rookie, and so he's not going to get out of there. He's going to be there for quite some time. I actually feel bad for that guy. He is a player, and there's no easy fix for this, Chris. I know we're going to talk about Drew Thorpe coming up here, and they got some guys back, and let's bring some dudes up from the farm system. It is going to be a long, 3-4 years in Chicago. There's no easy turnaround here.
It keeps getting longer and longer. I tell you, if you have the package, just tune into the White Sox postgame show every time they lose. I think it's the only thing keeping the White Sox fans going. Here's Chuck Garfien and Ozzie Guillen last night.
This White Sox season is doing this to me. I'm crawling on the set. What is happening to this team?
You see this guy?
I can't even get to the chair.
You see this guy? What's this?
It's a cactus.
Okay, cactus. I'm going to sit on it. That might hurt a little less than I just watched today's game.
Oh my goodness. What did we just experience?
I think my favorite part is Ozzie asking what a cactus is.
He was struggling for the word in English. He's like, oh, shoot, forgot about it. Here's my thing. Okay, it's funny. It's objectively funny. I get it. And the White Sox have it's been a tough watch. I know. I was just on a trip doing the Yankees Pittsburgh series. Like when you're getting your smoke, like the Twins got smoked, it's hard to call the games. Like it's hard to kind of put that spin on it. But you just talked about the reporter from Denver yesterday going into the clubhouse. Do you think these guys ever go in the clubhouse?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I know that Chuck goes to the field. I see him
well, they do it at the field, I'm pretty sure, or at least close to the field. But
yeah.
Do they go down in the clubhouse and talk to the guys?
I would think that they do.
No chance.
I don't know if that's true. Plus, this thing is so shticky. Like it's not Now, sometimes they have
that one is sticky. There's other ones that are just crushing not only the players, they crush everybody, the coaching staff, everybody. And I know fans like the fans like that, like, you know, like the no holds barred, all that. I get that, but like, I'm curious, like, do they ever go and say, hey, like, is there any constructive criticism to the coaches, or you just sit back and just judge? You know what I mean?
I mean, I think it's fair. I would hope that they are. I mean, I know they're at the stadium, so I would hope that they are going in the clubhouse and stuff like that.
And also, God, I have so much thought on this. Like when Ozzie was the manager, you know, look, he won a title. I get it, but like, if there was a post game show like this about his team, like, how would he have reacted?
Well, he would fire back. That's who he totally.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, no, he would fire back. He would fire back.
Whether he would be right or wrong, Ozzie doesn't shut his mouth about anything.
No, he doesn't. So do you think Pedro Grifol should just fire back? He's got no ammo, right? Like the ammo.
No, he's got zero ammo. That's the problem. Like, dang it. That's the problem. He's got nothing in his bag. He can't turn back and say, hey, well, at least I did this. At least Ozzie can say, hell, I helped break a freaking streak since 1917.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk crap about Ozzie. He played, he did it on the field, he got a World Series, so he's kind of bulletproof in that regard.
Totally, in that city, even though people think at times he's a whack job, yeah. So very quickly, let's touch on this topic. Drew Thorpe is getting called up, and mind you, he has had quite the passport through the states. I know you don't need a passport to go from U.S. city to U.S. city, but understand what I'm saying. Got traded from the Yankees to San Diego in the offseason in the Juan Soto deal. And then right before the season got going, he got traded to the Chicago White Sox in the Dylan Cease deal. Because of who he was traded for, how interested are you not only in his major league debut, but really following his career?
That has nothing to do with that. I don't care too much at all. I want to see him pitch, I guess, mainly because he's got like a changeup is one of his plus pitches, and I'm very interested in right-handers that will throw like right-on-right changeups. He doesn't particularly throw hard, so like, I'm curious to see how that plays out in the big leagues, because you better have your location on point. But like, just because he was traded for this person, traded for that person, it doesn't really bring me to the yard, Chris.
No, but I think it'll be interesting to compare. I mean, that's always the beauty of these trades, is that you can't say 2 days after they happen who won the trade. Because if this guy ends up being a multiple-time Cy Young Award winner, and let's say that Juan Soto ends up staying 1 year in New York and then leaves for another team, then Yankee fans will look back and say, well, hold on, we could have had Drew Thorpe. Or if Dylan Cease, although he's pitched very well his first few months in San Diego, if he doesn't end up staying after 2 years or doesn't pitch great and Thorpe ends up being great, then Padres fans are going to say, well, we missed out on him. So there's always that.
Sure.
That interests me. The thing that interests me most is the thing you said, is that he doesn't throw hard, but last year he led the minor leagues in strikeouts. And this year he's got good, solid strikeout numbers. Not as good as last year. I've seen clips of him. I want to see him pitch.
Yeah, I think, okay, so I feel like I came off a little harsh on Drew Thorpe. It's just, that's my take on pretty much all prospects. I need to see you do it.
There's nothing wrong with your take. It's whether or not you're interested because of the lineage of people
I'm not
traded for. Then that's fine. You don't have to.
But I do like watching pitchers pitch. Yeah, I like watching pitchers pitch. Sounds like that's what this guy is. You know, location. He's got a couple good off-speed pitches as well that's generating strikeouts. So, like those guys, I prefer those guys rather than an erratic 100-mile-an-hour fastball and a wipeout slider that is only for chase. Like if this guy's got location, mixes and matches, sequences pitches, those are the guys I like to watch.
Got it. Fair enough. All right. Want to let everybody know that John Boy Media and iHeart Podcast have teamed up. So if you're wondering, hey, Rose, what are you talking about? I mean that 2 of your favorite John Boy Media shows can now be found over at the Dan Patrick Show, in addition to where you already watch or listen. That's right. Wake and Jake, Jimmy's Three Things. They have joined the iHeart Podcast and Dan Patrick Show family. And the best part, they will still continue to be the very same shows that you know and love. And if you can't tell, we are super excited about this. Dan Patrick is one of the legends in this business, in this genre. He continues to grow and grow. And we are so happy that he's bringing us along for the ride. So thank you very much to Dan Patrick and his crew. Continue to watch Wake and Jake and Jimmy's Three Things. We continue on with a little more talk of the National League. Giants also had an exciting walk-off. Almost, Mr. Slater, almost had a walk-off grand slam, just like Cal Raleigh. Instead, ball hits off the wall. They win in extras over the Houston Astros. So they are currently the third wild card in the National League. But then there's another 7 teams that are within 3.5 games of the Giants. And get this, not one of those teams, including San Francisco, is over 500. Is that good or bad for the game?
Yeah, even the Mets, that's the 3.5 team out right there. So I think it depends on how you look at it. If you're looking at it from like a player's perspective, I think a lot of guys will say, well, that's not good because teams are okay with being average. So they're not going to go out there and try to acquire that like middle-class player. They're like, well, hey, we'll bring 2 guys up for the minor leagues and pay the superstars. So I think from that aspect, guys don't like it. I think as a fan, I'm into it. It definitely like takes away from the regular season a little bit, but we already have, in my opinion, too many games in the regular season anyway, where it's hard to like make them mean anything until September. But what it does do is, yeah, I mean, it keeps fan bases, intrigued. It keeps them, teams in the loop, especially in September when you have a bunch of teams all jockeying for position. Like, I think that aspect is good for baseball. When the teams are all under 500, it kind of looks bad, but I don't think anybody really cares. Like in September, if your team is 1 game under 500, but you're still 2 games out of the wild card, like you're stoked. Like, okay, let's go on a run here. Let's make it happen. I think that was the whole point of adding the extra wild card, and plus more postseason games means more money for the owners. That's maybe the biggest reason. But I'm okay with it. I even in the American League, there's every team is 5.5 games within the last wild card, and it's just the Angels in Oakland in the back end there. So I could see both sides, but I think generally I will say that it's good for baseball.
Well, it is good for fan interest. It's a pain in the ass for GMs because they have to figure out whether or not their teams could really make a legitimate run.
The GMs have to do their job. I'm so sorry.
Did I say I felt bad for him?
I don't know. I
did not. All I said is that it's a pain in the ass. Factually accurate. And it's
you got
fine.
A pain in the ass.
I sure do. And then for people that don't know what we're talking about, yes, I have a colonoscopy today. That's why I'm struggling. I haven't been allowed to drink water since last night, and my mouth feels like it's full of cotton. Don't joke. Colonoscopies for people my age are very important. So when it becomes that time, go do it.
When is it my time? You tell me I'm too young. Is it 40?
Yeah, if now things run in your family, like it ran in my family, so I started getting them in my late 30s.
I'm 38 on Sunday, everybody. Or
Talk to your doctor.
Saturday.
You go to the doctor every year?
I do not.
You do or you do not?
I went last year.
Go every year. Why would you not go every year?
Because I'm an idiot. I don't know.
I know we have a lot of young people, so it doesn't matter to you that listen and consume us, and thank you very much. For those of you in your 30s, start going to the doctor every year. Guys, for some reason, guys have such a problem going to the doctor.
So my problem is doctors used to be around me all the time.
Yeah, I get it.
And I don't have a doctor anymore. So I have one, but I need someone to just put my schedule up and go.
I've got a few names. I'll help you out.
Yeah, help me out, bro. You're my mentor, Chris.
I'll help you out. I'm fighting to get through this, by the way. If anybody's ever had a colonoscopy, I'm clenching like mad. So here's the deal. It is good for fans. It's not great for star teams, as we've seen the last few years. Like Braves, Dodgers have been eliminated, I think, in consecutive years when they were the 1 and 2 seeds by some teams that were significantly worse than them in the regular season. I know that's the beauty of baseball, is that a team can get hot, and the Rockies and A's can win series and win multiple series in a row. Happens during the year. We don't pay a ton of attention to it. When it happens in October, then you're like, oh, great. And the 84-win Diamondbacks were a tremendous story last year. Really fun. But there's always going to be that but. So I don't think it's great for baseball. It keeps fans engaged. But I think for the end product, it's not awesome. Got to be honest with you. There's not a lot of 7 seeds in the AFC and NFC wildcard heading off to the Super Bowl.
Okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think this is okay to be on either side of this one because there's a different viewpoints for it.
Okay. We got one more thing to get to, but first, Plouffe, you have a word for our people.
I do. We have this thing. It's called the John Boy Media DFS League, and it rolls on this week. It's all season long on DraftKings. All of our top personalities are on it. Jake's on it. Shelfie's on it. Jolly Olive's on it. A bunch of our creators are on it. You can make your lineup, and you can compete against those guys each Tuesday night of the baseball season for a shot at cash prizes. Everyone loves cash. And you can win some additional prizes from John Boy Media as well. So the top finisher each month will win $100 in SeatGeek credit from John Boy. And the top leaderboard finisher at the end of the regular season, get this, you'll win 2 World Series tickets. If you want to get in on the action, it's not too late to sign up for tonight's contest. Click the link in the description to join the league and then enter the contest on the league homepage. Go do it. Beat Jake. Don't let him get those World Series tickets. He doesn't need them.
All right. Last thing before we get out of here. I was watching this live, your game against the Colorado Rockies, and they come back in from break with what's called a billboard where they're selling a product, and they show Trevor Plouffe. Nice catch there in the outfield. Cool shades, no hat, wearing shorts. And then this one. Boing, 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 boing. Clanker off the old mitt. Dude, did you know your boys were going to do you dirty like that?
I had no idea. And I said on the broadcast, like, I forgot there's like cameras everywhere. I was just out there to shag. Jace Tingler was like, hey, man, like, you want to come shag? And I'm like, of course I do. I always have my glove at the field. So I went up. They gave me some clothes to change into. Probably could have used a hat. But here's what happened. I was running in because I wanted to get some reps like at third base. I just wanted to see the ball off the bat again. And as I was running in, all of a sudden the ball gets smoked at me, planted my feet, a little flat-footed there, Chris. And the next thing I know, it's out of my glove. Very embarrassing for me because I just don't ever want to drop the ball. And that thing was a long, easy hop. One of the more embarrassing errors I've ever made, to be honest with you. And now everyone sees it. And they're like, don't worry, nobody's watching these games. I was like, yeah, our social team, I know for a fact, is going to put this out. And sure enough, a minute later, they're on it. So here I am, just like looking like an idiot.
I believe that Jake called it, quote, devastating for the brand.
Here's what Jake doesn't understand because he's just not a ball player. And I said this under the Instagram portion of this. With my arm strength, the guy's still out at first base, okay? So maybe I clanked it, but I'm still getting the out. I finished the play. Jake doesn't understand any of that.
You know what? I say you get back on the field and you try and redeem yourself today. And, I love the jersey. God, I didn't even notice it. Shame on me. That's
hey, listen to this. Listen to this. This is before we end the show. I know you got to go to the bathroom. So they came up to the booth. They gave me one of these, and they told me before, hey, like, we're not giving these out to a lot of people. So I'm in there with Justin Morneau, Twins Hall of Famer, and they bring me a jersey and not him. And so I said, you guys are putting me in a very bad spot here. So I said on air, yeah, I bought this. I kept telling Justin, I paid for it, man. I paid for it. He saw right through that. So I still got the juice here, Chris. And you got the juice in Cleveland? Yes.
Just saying, wherever you are, here you go. Yeah.
Hey, you know what I love about both of these? The texture. Everyone knows I'm a texture guy when it comes to fashion. You got great texture on yours. This has great texture on mine. This is the shirt of the summer for me. I'll be rocking this thing, barbecuing all summer long with my Kershaw beef.
All right, I got 30 seconds left, literally, before I think I explode. Did you shower after you worked out?
What do you mean?
On the field.
Oh, dude, no. I was out there for 10 minutes. Didn't break a sweat. That stuff's easy to me, Chris. Right. I wanted to. I would have showered with the boys. You think that'd be awkward? Broadcasting showering with the team?
It would be if you brought Corey in. I have to loop at his back. Tell Corey hi. He does a good job up there. All right, so you're off tomorrow. Stephen Brault is in your place. For everybody that's going to join us live throughout the chat, just tell Brault how much better looking he is than Plouffe, and we'll keep throwing messages up every 30 seconds and reading them to Stephen, and he'll be like, oh, I don't know if I am, but maybe.
Yeah, that's a good Brault impression.
Thank you. We'll miss you tomorrow. We'll see you on Thursday. Go field some grounders. Go wear your show jersey to the stadium today. Rub it in Morneau's face and have a great call of the game. I'll miss you, and I love you, buddy. Great job.
Love you too, man.
For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, and our amazing intern, Tommy, the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, off to do my colonoscopy. We will see you Wednesday on Baseball Today, presented to you by Factor.